I remember one time my like radiator hadn't completely busted, but it was like on its way out, and so basically like every 50 minutes of driving I had to just get out and pour water on the car and then keep
Oh
driving.
my god. Uh,
My dad had this thing where with one of his cars stuff would like come loose every so often, and the only solution was to like flip up the hood, hit parts of it with a hammer a few times, and it would start up again.
wow. The old
Yeah,
percussive maintenance.
correct.
Yeah, Mr. Bad Guy, we're having issues again.
Hmm.
Stream quality's not great right now. It was stable for a little while during the car crash, and now it's having a lot of trouble again. I'm not really sure what to do about it. Malcolm, are you having any issues doing anything? Well, we're back in the green, so I guess let's move on.
Yep. Green.
See how long that lasts.
Yep.
Lock disabled. Mr. Bad Guy says this is not his favorite part of this game.
I wonder. I wonder what they're referring to. Random has an interesting distinction amongst game characters
Yeah.
and I guess anime characters in general. Not really in a massive pop culture sense, but they're a character who's meant to be handsome that Scum actually thinks is handsome.
Does that not often line up?
Not often. Like, in terms of characters that she thinks, oh, that character's got a good look. It's more like Chris Walker from the Outlast games, or like Mr. X.
Not,
So I mean, like,
not the most attractive
random's meant
chap,
to be.
Mr. X.
So like, random's meant to be an attractive guy that Scum actually thinks is attractive. So he's got an interesting distinction in that regard.
Oh, there you go.
Not usually her sort.
Mazel tov.
Lucky me, I guess.
I had a brain blast while we were out front. I remembered the rails.
Ah, nice, good. That might save us some time. I honestly don't remember.
Maybe. I suppose we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, I have some more errata.
Oh?
Last time I was saying that they were calling it Neo Kobe pizza, even though it was called Neo Kobe Yaki in the original. And I was saying that's almost certainly an okonomiyaki. I was wrong again. I have dug deeper and found handwritten notes from original Snatcher devs and whatnot on various, mostly Japanese websites. Neo Kobe Yaki is meant to be a piss take of Akashi Yaki. Now, Akashi Yaki is a bit like Takoyaki, except instead of using flour, you use beaten egg as the batter. So it's a little bit of pork or octopus in a little folded dumpling that you then dip in dashi stock. Now, the Neo Kobe version of Akashi Yaki is meant to be stupid, because instead of dipping it in a little bit of dashi stock, you're dipping it in a massive boiling bowl of dashi stock, which is basically just, it's like sort of a fish-based broth. But you're not meant to, like, submerge the dumpling in it.
Huh.
But yeah, I saw a little note that's written...
It's meant to be a stupid-sounding dish to anybody familiar with that.
It's still meant to be like a weird twist on an existing dish, where like you get the kashiyaki, which is fine. It's like the size of like a pot sticker, basically. Quite nice. It's like a pan-fried egg batter dumpling, basically. And you dip it in a little bit of dashi stock, and it can be like pure like sort of dashi, which is like a sort of a fish stock with a bit of like soy sauce or whatever, and a little bit of mirin perhaps. But the idea is that instead of like dipping it, you've just got this like massive boiling bowl of it in front of you, and you just drop the akashiyaki in, and then if it doesn't float back up, you don't get it, or it just like dissolves. So it's still meant to be like a dumb gimmick, but
right.
It's nothing like as strange as we thought. But it's like akashiyaki is popular in areas in the Kansai region, and I don't know if it's just pure extrapolation that to appeal to Western audiences, and again that odd sort of Chicago connection that the Snatcher translation team had is they said, let's make it pizza, and the rest is history.
Thanks, Malcolm. Tastes like flavor.
Well, why? I want to say pizza is effectively bizarre, and it's created this whole... It's got a nice little thing for... Like, just having a kashiyaki with, like, too much fucking dipping sauce isn't really as distinctive. Whereas now, like, Western World Snatcher fans have got, like, a little trademark food like Doctor Who fans do, and so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. In the original scene in Doctor Who, when he's like dipping fish sticks in custard, it's not actually custard. None of the actors at any point were having fish sticks and custard together. What he's actually got there is he's got a massive bowl of mayonnaise. So he's just dipping the fish sticks in a huge amount of mayonnaise and then drinking some mayonnaise later, which is less bizarre and more just sort of Polish.
Do the Polish drink mayonnaise?
Look, I've only known like I've only known like 3 Polish people with any real sort of closeness. One of them is my best friend. Like, I call him Cortez, but I mean he's Polish. And he really likes mayonnaise. Like, he likes it a bunch. And the drawing on back when me and him were hanging out and talking, making comics together, he was mayonnaise obsessed. Like, his whole thing was there was no such thing as too much mayonnaise. Like, I was like, what if you literally dipped the ham sandwich in the mayonnaise? And then so he's like, yep, fine. Just give me the mayonnaise.
Wow.
And so it's something like...
I don't dislike mayonnaise.
Know. I don't know where Yas stands on mayonnaise, but I'd be astounded if he actually disliked it. So, I mean, if Yas likes mayonnaise, that's 3 for 3 Polish people. Regarding mayonnaise, I think it needs to be the right brand. Like, Miracle Whip is useful for making one onion dip that's been passed down through the family. I would not put it on a sandwich in a fit. Whereas Japanese mayonnaise or Polish mayonnaise, I think is actually quite good. It's not a 100% thing. I mean, I'm not that into Vegemite. I'm more of a Marmite guy. I don't know if that's heresy.
I have not had either.
Try to imagine if someone congealed soy sauce, like made soy sauce into a paste, and you're getting close.
Huh.
I'm saying it's very salty.
Okay.
Some people have compared it to crushed ants. When Scum tried Marmite flavored crisps, she said, It's amazing. It's got all the things that are bad about gravy and all the things that are bad about relish and none of the things that are good. All in one terrible, terrible flavor. So, it's not for everyone.
Malkin says Japanese mayo is basically a different thing.
It is, yes.
Huh.
Like, you would be able to do a blind taste test, but just on the texture alone. Japanese mayonnaise is very different to American or indeed Polish. There's a world of mayonnaise out there.
The world of mayonnaise.
Yeah, I don't think many people are buying tickets, I'm just saying. Except the drawing on, obviously. The drawing on may have retired from drawing, but...
As you would say, I have a lot of time for a good egg salad sandwich.
Oh god, yeah, with a little bit of green onion.
Ooh,
Fuck yeah.
I haven't had it with green onion. That sounds good.
Oh no, it's a good time. It's one of the first things I'm doing next time I go to Japan is going to the local Lawson and buying all of their egg salad sandwiches because I can't explain why, but their pre-packaged, bizarrely crustless egg salad sandwiches are just... They are astounding.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. It's like when I got to Narita Airport when I visited in 2016, they had like a miniature Lawson in the airport and was like, I will require all of your egg salad sandwiches, please. And 7 beers.
God, I hate Finland. I need 100 beers. 100, exactly. Thank you.
I think Max is saying that they prefer aioli over mayonnaise. I think you sort of got to have one with the other.
Now,
I think mayonnaise is an ingredient in aioli.
Now, what exactly is aioli?
I'm not sure. I believe it to be mayonnaise plus olive oil and some garlic, and you mix it all together into a fine consistency. I could be wrong. When I worked in a restaurant, that's what the chefs did and called it aioli, so for all I know, they were running a scam. I mean, I was there as a dishwasher, but I did a bizarre amount of prep work, and I worked security once or twice, even though I'm not licensed, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were up to shonky business. It's one of those pubs that fancied itself a club or a restaurant, something it wasn't.
Ah.
Yeah.
I believe I know the type.
Yeah. Like, it's not fair, but it's given... Like, 18 months working in one restaurant has given me the perhaps unfair prejudice that every single chef is completely insane.
From what I understand, a number of them, if not insane, are certainly unstable.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff thrown at me.
Very rude.
Yes.
Not that I've worked in a, professional kitchen, but I hear things.
Well, here's the thing. One of the few things I haven't done is I've never worked fast food, but I understand I never want to.
Yes. I know someone who has, and they would advise you against it.
Yep. I mean, like, I bitch about my job and will continue to do so, but I have to give it some credit. There are no customers. I'm in a warehouse, so...
Oh, there you go.
There's that.
I don't have to deal with... Well, that's not true. I do deliveries, so I do talk to customers, but they're not the worst customers.
I was going to say, when it comes to deliveries, like, they're pretty much always really glad to see you, I thought.
Yeah, generally. I got a free drink out of it once.
Hey, nice.
Just a Snapple, mind you. But it was a hot day, and it was appreciated.
Oh, man, I miss Snapple.
You miss Snapple?
We had that in our country for, like, a year, and it didn't catch on.
Really?
Really. I drank it all the time when I was in America. Fuck, couldn't
yeah, it's all over. Any deli you go to out here, they've got it.
Yeah, it was my introduction to American lemonade, and I realized that Snapple isn't even as good as it gets.
No,
but like for me, it was like astounding.
But it's at least passable.
Yeah.
But
to
its credit, Snapple,
lemonade and pink lemonade.
Yeah, pink
got
lemonade
us right across the states.
Pink lemonade is good stuff.
For one that we did have that caught on was something very similar, that was called Oasis. That was good. But that didn't last forever either. You know they still have Fruitopia in Canada?
I don't know what that is.
It's a very, very 90s brand of fruit drink.
Huh.
That they make a joke about it in Venture Brothers because they keep a whole bunch of like old stuff because they don't have any money. And the visiting general is delighted to be given a Fruitopia because he hasn't had one in years, whereas in Canada it's just still around.
I've recently picked up drinking a what I believe is a local brand of, I guess, iced tea, but it has other flavors. They've got like a mango tea, raspberry tea. It's just called Joe.
Nice.
It's just called Joe Tea, and I've only seen it in like one deli. But it's
you
quite,
get that.
It's quite good, and there's like basically no artificial additives in it whatsoever. It's basically just juice and sugar and whatnot. It has a picture of like an old time truck, like maybe a 1930 something truck.
Shit, I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's noticeably better than Snapple, and Snapple is not bad.
Yeah, agreed. Snapple will absolutely always do.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Oh, we have an update from the Discord. Rex was asked Yas what their opinion on mayonnaise was, and Yas just said it's Polish. So Yas's opinion on mayonnaise is it's Polish.
Thank you.
They have a Polish opinion. So I'm going to assume that means obsessed with it.
Useful information.
There's that one anime where someone's daydreaming about their ultimate cooking show, and they're just making mayonnaise and putting more mayonnaise on top. That's their dream job. It was a clip that Drawing On sent to me a lot. Plus the same character talking about trying to find the mayonnaise dimension. Sorry, I haven't been paying attention to what's happening on screen. How are you progressing?
Well, I haven't gotten anywhere since entering the hospital.
Oh.
I was seeing if activating some different combination of the switches would cause the desk to
keep looking at the switches at the front desk, I think.
Yeah, like there's another hidden switch or something.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't try and guide someone too much, but just I think it's all about the switches. Just keep on looking and investigating, and you can talk. Maybe you can talk to random. I don't know. Heard by who?
Random told me to shut up.
Okay. It's a small thing, but Alton Plaza is only called Alton Plaza in the Western version of Snatcher.
Yeah.
In the Japanese version, it's called Altamira or Altamira Plaza, which blew my mind at first because I was thinking, whoa, is this some sort of Konami thing? Because I thought that was the name of the hospital in Silent Hill. It's Alcamilia, not Altamira. Altamira is a cave in Spain. That's all I really know about it. Apparently it's a relatively important cave. So, I mean, what we can assume is that Chinshu Hall has probably got snatched a long time ago. Like, if he's been disbarred for doing shonky operations, whoa, that could have been the human version.
Wait.
And that's why he was grabbed, because it wouldn't raise as much suspicion when he kept doing what he was famous for doing. But I'm wondering if he only started because he was a hospital director and they needed that.
I'm remembering something. Caves of Altamira is the name of a Steely Dan song. A very good one.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
One of my favorites,
I
actually.
don't mind a bit of Steely Dan.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I got taken to a Steely Dan show once.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very chill.
Yeah, it would be. I feel like it's one of these things where even when someone releases a cover of a song that I think improves upon it, you gotta give credit to the originals. Like, I'm sorry, I'm only mentioning this just because Steely Dan did the original version of Crimson and Clover, which is good, but I mean, the Joan Jett version hits different.
Yeah, I would think. Kind of like Diamonds and Judas Priest's version of Diamonds and Rust hits pretty different from the original.
And yeah, like I would not be beyond me to have both on a playlist for sufficient difference in tone, frankly.
There's less of a difference, but King Cobra's cover of Hunger
Oh, no, that's still legit.
has a little bit of a different vibe to it.
Yes. I'll make a playlist. It's got like the Buzzcocks version and the Peter Yorn version of Ever Fallen in Love, and those songs they don't hit that different, but fuck, I'll have them both. Honestly.
Yeah, why not have
They're
both?
both good. Yay, 2 cakes.
Yeah, 2Ks. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Yas hasn't always been into mayonnaise. Okay. I didn't like mayo much before, or didn't try as much, but it is good when mixed with stuff, and I stopped being dumb and actually started, eating stuff. So there we have it.
Yeah. I was an incredibly picky eater as a kid.
I was the exact opposite.
Oh.
I would assume that leaves or fountain water were food. Probably owing to my robust constitution to this day. There's photographic evidence, even back in the 80s, of me on like one of them kid leashes, straining against it, trying to drink out of a puddle. Always just water, fortunately. But yeah, if there was water, I would like try and like stick my head into it. If there was a framework to like a house or something, I would try to climb it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not me. I was not the risk-taking kid.
As far as I can tell, I was basically a Saiyan baby.
Eh.
Downright uncontrollable.
No, I was very different. I would sneeze if placed in direct sunlight. I'm not joking.
No, you get that. That's a legitimate thing.
To this day, I have an issue with bright sunlight. It's actually painful for me. At least
That was the thing.
At least to my eyes.
I
have to wear sunglasses.
Yeah. I had to like train myself back out of photosensitivity because for like a year and a half of high school, I never took my shades off. And so, like, eventually when I did, I was like, oh god, I couldn't keep my eyes open in the sun anymore. So I had to like get myself back onto sunlight.
Blue blocker shades, yeah. I have the color correction adjusted on my main monitor for ease of long-term viewing. For that reason.
Ah, yeah.
None of this stuff looks like it would be any good with beer. Thanks, Random.
I like beer drinking with Random someday. There's a weird early version of Snatcher. I think it's just literally the first version, where if you hang around in Alton Plaza or Alton Miller Plaza long enough, someone comes up to you telling you that you have a good look about you and you should become a junker because they're a junker. And obviously they got taken out later on. It's David Johnson. David Johnson comes up to you and tells you that, they could use someone like you at junker headquarters. And this was, like, I think a communication error between Kojima and other people working on the game, because, like, David Johnson is mentioned as being one of the only junkers that is still alive. He's alive in a coma, so he shouldn't be coming up to you and, like, telling you that you should join junker. So that was an issue that they got rid of in every subsequent version.
That's a bit of a continuity error.
Yes, just a bit. Okay, I do not remember this bit sufficiently where I can see why Mr. Bad Guy was not looking forward to it.
Yeah, to my knowledge, I've poked everything. I guess I need to poke some things again.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, my first thought was that the switch is somewhere here in room 3.
I don't believe so.
But I didn't see anything.
No.
But I futzed with the desk switches.
I see that thing. I thought you were meant to, like, push the desk with random or something, but now I'm not sure. Do you want a hint from Mr. Bad Guy? Because I'm stumped. It's okay, we can figure this out, I'm sure of it.
I mean, I've got time. I guess it's
true.
How long is the chat willing to wait while I fumble with this? I mean, I figured out everything else in a reasonable time frame, I think.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah. I mean, as people have observed when I'm, like, listening to the Japanese version, in my streams, people are like, wow, this is going really quickly. It's like, yeah, they are literally just blazing through everything.
It is the vase.
Oh, so that's relevant now.
Yeah.
Does it look, well...
I also already looked at this time we were here.
Yeah. I believe that.
Unless I only investigated it, rather than looking at it.
Yeah, even if you did investigate, you have to investigate like 2 or 3 times, probably. Doesn't this look like the one that Chiefs offers? No, not really. Not with their improved color palette, it doesn't. There's a slight issue between versions. Da-da-da-da.
This apparently leads down to a lower level.
It looks like Jamie was right.
I'm gonna save here.
Yeah.
Queen's Hospital does have a basement.
And that basement is the Snatcher's main lair. Out of the frying pan and into the fire, as they say. Well, what do we do now, Gillian?
We eat some peeps. Delicious marshmallow peeps.
It's a very narrow stairway. We'll have to go down single file.
Okay, who's going to take the point?
That's obvious. The guy with the light.
Hey, that's not fair.
Well, what do we have here?
It's the hospital corridor.
It's the same hallway, but not the one that's on the first floor.
So what does that mean?
An entire floor of Queen's Hospital has been duplicated underground.
Huh.
So the same floor is both upstairs
Which seems a
and
little eccentric.
downstairs. Sort of like parallel worlds.
So that desolate setup upstairs is all just a smokescreen. They're making it look like the place is closed down, but in reality, they're keeping themselves quite busy.
Gillian, that means we're already right in the middle of their headquarters. Please use extreme caution.
How to reuse a set. Yeah.
Yes. I want to say, I don't think anyone's ever gonna beat reusing sets to actual good effect quite like the Cube.
The Cube. Oh,
The sort of thriller film.
Yeah, the movie where they're trapped in like a weird like
Other
detailless
prison.
maze. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like an astounding film, but like it's fine, and man, that's how you budget.
Yeah.
I kind of love the idea that like snatchers don't have like an astounding amount of like creativity, because I'm sure they could have come up with a much more streamlined maintenance facility for their particular needs without recreating every single aspect of the hospital. I love like they couldn't figure it out besides that.
There's only 2 switches.
This looks much nicer. Looks like green Star Trek.
It does. There's a smell option.
It is an interesting point that, like, once they have their, like, flesh and skin and eyes and whatnot, the Snatcher can sort of, like, they can die of the melanomas and whatnot. It affects their sort of biomechanical state. So they do actually need medical treatment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does sort of make sense. I got no other really good place to mention this.
They can't survive without the skin.
Well, it sort of they can. There's like differing lore on that. They don't want to be the first generation Bioroid snatchers. Even the endoskeleton doesn't like sunlight. Something that they bring up in SNATCHER is there's a entire warehouse full of just the endoskeletons that Little John blows the roof off and exposes them to sunlight, and they just start combusting and dying.
Weird.
Yeah, it's something to do with the amount of, like, again, the amount of heat and energy they generate, and we're not sure what sort of material they're made from. Snatchers are something else again. They're not strictly speaking just robots. The ongoing speculation, they are somewhere between a government project and possibly with aspects of alien technology. Yeah, again, there's contradictions between this game and the radio play, but in the radio play, the endoskeletons die if exposed to sunlight. They're not into it.
Huh.
The radio play is kind of weird in some places because it's they get Kikuko Inoue back again to be Alice Gibson, talking to Jean-Jacques Gibson. Whoa! It's just a perfectly ordinary skeleton dummy that they have. Nothing going on there at all. But yeah, in the radio play, Alice Gibson always calls Jean-Jacques. She just calls him Jack. So it's Kikuko Inoue sounding really sad, calling him Jack, and Jack is voiced by Akio Otsuka. So it just sounds like you're listening to Metal Gear Solid 3 in places. As well, those two have encountered each other a bunch of times now, those two actors. But then again, they are, in all fairness, two of the biggest voice actors in modern Japan, as far as I can tell. Akio Otsuka is everywhere, and Kikuko Inoue even more so.
I knew it. I knew that was going to happen.
That's a real turnaround set of events. Holy cow, that came out of left field.
Jesus.
Did I get it?
The Snatcher's functions have been terminated. There's no doubt now that this is their maintenance facility. This one was probably still waiting to get its artificial skin installed.
So this is what they really look like, huh?
Yeah, that's the scariest thing about them. You can't tell them from real people once they've got that skin on.
Perhaps that's humanity's great weakness. We're always judging books by their cover.
And it's just that human weakness that they're out to take advantage of.
All right, Random.
Dialogue.
Metal, let's go. The HQ's
What an
jump
odd
squad
angle.
can take care of him later. We've got an investigation to do.
Yeah, nice work with the fucking signal reading there, Metal Gear. Oh yeah, nothing coming from this thing. And then just fucking does the Undertaker sit-up.
How about
You gotta shoot the Kool-Aid out of it.
How about you stay down this time?
Yeah.
By the way, thanks for the help, Random. Ugh.
He didn't want to cramp your style. Very, very Shaun of the Dead moment. Feel free to step in anytime.
Yeah. Are you sure about that?
I always give this people option in D&D games. If they want to just like spend a few actions and like recover their mana to just absolutely obliterate something. You know, in case I've pulled a fast one on them, and but something getting up in the past, if they want to just like blast it into dust, they can. This is one of the better shots we get of a Snatcher. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty detailed. Yeah. Helpful hint from Rex. Always double tap.
I mean, yeah.
So, you want some green stuff?
So let's see. Now you've killed a bunch of Insectors and 2 Snatchers.
Yeah.
Well, it's impressive that Random killed 4 in a month. So I mean, you've killed like 2 in a week. So good so far. We can call it an assist in Freddy's case.
An assist.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as I get XP for that, I'm fine. Whatever, I'm not gonna bitch.
Behind door number 2 is door number 1.
Maybe 2 snatchers and 3 in the next one.
Oh yeah.
Ugh, I hope not.
Learn to count with snatches.
Ooh.
Sorry about that. I had a very sudden eye-watering cough that I didn't want to do into the microphone.
Oh, I didn't catch any of it, so
Oh, good, good.
would not have known if you hadn't said anything.
I'm not sure what the medical applications of constantly bouncing around eyeballs in soda water is, but I mean, I'm no scientist.
Me neither, really.
They have to have the latest gene cannon.
Gene
Gene cannon
cannon.
sounds like a needlessly complicated term for a penis.
Or a band.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Gene cannon. I like that.
Well, it's one of the rather nasty puns they have in the original version of Snatcher. The reason why Gillian apparently occasionally exposes himself to female characters is you have your Junker ID, and you also have your gender ID, and that's your proof of being a dude, supposedly. It's crass even for the time, even for the country.
Great.
It's unforgivable, and I'm glad that it's only in one version of the game. I think you can have a lovable pervert main character, just barely. I don't think you can have a main character that we're meant to identify with that routinely drops his pants. It's unprofessional, to say the least.
Yeah, that's one word for it.
Yeah. I had never noticed that one of the pieces of science equipment is literally just a hand.
Yeah.
It's
I
such
thought-
a
I thought
small
that
and
was a-
specific hand. It looks like an automatic cat petting machine.
Or a back scratcher.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or a cat back scratcher.
Also a good idea. I kind of assumed that Snatchers had really good technology myself. Oh. Uh, maybe Kojima's making a point about Soviet scarcity.
Interesting.
Would Snatchers have a morgue?
Would that be where they keep the bodies of people they snatched?
Oh. It's not impossible. You'd wonder why they would do that, though. You think, why wouldn't they just dispose of them? I guess in case they need, like, a fresh sample? Now, I admit that, like, you can't just have solutions like this in games, but, like, a blast like Gillian carrying should make short work of a fucking doll.
Alright, let's try pushing both buttons simultaneously.
The two buttons are on opposite panels, so there's no way one person can push them both alone. But if two of us work together, it might do it.
That's it, Gillian. It makes perfect sense. It's the same system they used to use in nuclear missile silos in the late 20th century. Eliminates the risk of one man going nuts and acting alone.
Well, it's hard to be sure, but let's give it a try anyway. I've got button 1. Random, you push number 2. You ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Come on!
You did it! Door number 3 opened.
With safety measures like that, they must have had a good reason for wanting to keep it closed.
Whoops. I keep typing lover instead of lower. Whoops. Ugh.
Yeah.
God!
I read 4 human skeletons in this room.
It's their morgue!
Perhaps victims of the Snatchers?
Well, it doesn't look like whoever put them here was too worried about making sure they would rest in peace.
No, it doesn't. These have got to be their victims.
This is probably where they hide the bodies of the originals they snatched from places like Outer Heaven.
They probably picked Outer Heaven because it gets a lot of VIP traffic. Plus, during masquerade time, they could work the place and still keep their identities secret.
Yeah, and the guy who set up the link between them and Outer Heaven was Freddy, that taxi driver. They must have gone after him not because of who he was, but what he did. After all, with a taxi, there's plenty of chances to milk your customers for information. That's probably how they learned about Outer Heaven and Plato's Cavern.
I've been wondering what they had done with the bodies.
Want to hide a book? What better place than the library? Need to hide a body? How about the morgue?
And for them, keeping the bodies hidden is crucial. I mean, if somebody who's supposed to be dead is out walking the streets, it wouldn't be too hard to figure out that something screwy is going on.
That means that if we can figure out who these bodies were, then we just nailed 4 snatchers.
I guess I was
I
right.
want to say I'm not the first person to point this out, but Random's library analogy falls down somewhat when the library only has 4 books and then it's the 4 books you're looking for.
Yeah.
But no, this scene is largely unchanged. At least that initial close-up from the original version. So I mean, it was pretty out there even at the time. It's nasty, huh?
It is. Jesus.
Yeah. In in later versions of the game, they would put like a censorship grid over the top of it, but the censorship grid was slow. So when I showed you the scene, and then like 2 seconds later, it would go censored. Like that didn't really help.
A guy with a pole could open the door. Yeah. Rex raises a good point.
Yeah. Or one really, really tall guy who just stretched himself out between the benches. I like I can only assume it's the ongoing theory that Snatchers are just not very creative thinkers with their basic programming. It's like, you can't just have them wandering around or identifiable, So why hang on to them at all? I don't get it. You can... Do Snatchers not know about incinerators? Do Snatchers not know about a bag full of barbells in the ocean? What?
Apparently, they don't know about air scrubbers either. Everything, everything having to do with them seems to stink.
Yeah, yeah. Snatchers have this thing where, as far as I can tell, in their default form, essentially they activate and then just go, "Grrr, must crush capitalism." And like that's their primary function.
They're rather uncomplicated
Yeah.
for what is clearly a sophisticated piece of technology.
I think that it's a point that I think they make in Freeman's mind, is that generally when you talk about like a dangerous enemy, they're either hyper intelligent or they're like basic animal beasts that are dangerous for that reason. You very rarely get enemies that are just kind of dumb. But I mean, increasingly Snatchers seem to qualify. It's just that they got some of the worst breath on the planet. That's their main skill.
I know this one from watching CSI. You can date a body by which bugs are on the corpse.
Yes, yes. Forensic entomology.
It was
it's a whole subsect.
It came up a lot because the head of the department in the original CSI was an entomologist as a hobby.
Oh yeah. I did a short online course in forensics, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that does sound fun. Would have liked to have taken
It was
class.
cool. It went into the history and everything. Forensics, as we would understand it, more or less started in ancient China.
Huh.
Yeah. Essentially, there was one particular investigator. Someone had been murdered with a sickle.
Ooh.
And like, so there's like, okay, this person's been like hacked to death. It's very obviously using a farming sickle. And the investigator they had, like, they questioned a few people, but what they eventually did is they took out all these sickles, and they all seemed to be clean, and they just put the sickles in the sunlight for like a day, and they saw which sickle attracted the most flies, because what the human eye doesn't see, a fly will still detect.
Ah.
And they're
so
like,
although the blade had been cleaned, the flies could still detect organic matter on the blade.
Yeah, because like flies will be a little bit into, you know, I guess harvesting rice or whatever. Because you use a sickle for that initially. But there'll be a lot more into some blood and fat and, you know, human materials, even trace elements. And so they were able to track the person down, and they were like, yeah, no, it was me, you got me. But no, that was like the first sort of forensics investigation. I forget the guy's name, but...
Follow the bugs.
Yeah. It's the sort of plant life is also really important. They've solved a bunch of cases by like,
I heard,
you know, this person has like traces of this, this, and this, but like, okay, but like this doesn't occur where the body was found, so we need to check someone's backyard for this plant because it doesn't occur here naturally.
I saw an episode of Forensic Files about a case. As it happens, the first case in U.S. legal history where plant DNA had been presented in court. They identified a killer by a particular species of seed that had been found in the bed of his pickup truck.
Yes, yeah. Forensic Files is a thing I do kind of love. If I'm doing like a massive like penciling and inking session, I just plonk myself down in front of the TV and just put on Forensic Files on a loop.
Yeah, I wound up watching
all of it.
I have watched all of it. I wish there was more. It's fascinating.
Well, for what it's worth, there's a pretty good Australian podcast called Case File. I mean, it's just a podcast, but it's a true crime podcast that doesn't try to be funny, which is a refreshing change of pace for me.
Yeah, Rex points out that it looks as if they have the tech to properly dispose of the bodies and simply have not.
Yeah. I think Snatchers are also just kind of meant to be jerks.
That too. It definitely seems that way.
Like, one of their ongoing things is that, you know, human beings, it depends on... In the radio play and whatnot, they do have a sense of superiority. So, for them,
that actually reminds me. I'm reminded of the Furies in the '98 remake of Battlezone.
Right.
you saw one in the art I did of that game, one of the Fury saucers.
Yes, yes, very cool.
They they basically took, you know, a little more than a simple wireframe enemy from the original, the alien saucers, and extrapolated that into like an entire the game's main antagonist with an entire backstory. The Furies are, I guess, the simplest way to put it is that they're a rather twisted form of undead.
Okay. I'm down.
The whole thing with Battlezone is, you know, why there's a secret, you know, armed tank war on Mars and Venus and shit during the 1960s between the U.S. and Soviet Union.
Yes.
Is that they found a material they called biometal, which they soon discovered was originally created by a advanced ancient alien species native to a planet that no longer exists between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter.
Oh, that's classic.
Yes, Icarus.
I like that.
Planet was called. And
In Doctor Who, they called it Mondaz.
Yeah, I've also heard it called Phaeton.
Oh.
In other stories. Now I heard recently we're now thinking there actually was a planet there at one time, and it either didn't hold together or broke apart due to Jupiter's gravity
could have
or
been
what
something
have
to
you.
do with the Nibiru Cataclysm. We don't know.
Oh, what was the Nibiru Cataclysm again?
That's it's speculative, but essentially the thing that gets like a planet like spinning nice and fast and nice and hot, and kicking up all that dust and making an atmosphere is essentially. You think of it like a big impact that spins a basketball, and it had to be basically caused by something that was, you know, basically two things of relatively equal size.
Oh, wait.
One was a stationary planet, one was like an object that went smacks into the planet. The planet gets smaller because it's been hit so hard.
Yeah.
But it also gets it hot, gets it spinning, and we think the results of it might even be what left us with Earth, and the moon is like this still spinning large chunk. I mean, I'm not an expert on this. Like,
I have heard this. Like,
anything, but yeah,
they think that primordial Earth might have been struck by something as large as a Mars-sized body.
Yes, there's good evidence to suggest that, because something really got us going compared to other planets that got a lot of dust and the sheer sort of like heat. So it turned us into like a really big engine, basically. Yeah. We generated a lot of energy and heat and dust, and sort of that gave us an atmosphere of sorts. Just the sheer amount of steam we were producing, basically. But I mean, like, it's also what makes up the core of our planet. We had, you know, the right stuff. There's a lot of other planets you could like smack with something that was made out of the moon and of a massive size, which is what we think happened, and it wouldn't do what Earth did.
I've also heard that there might be something as big as a Mars-sized body, like very far out, like a planet 10, if you will.
Yes.
I guess a planet 9 now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They tentatively called it. I don't know if it's obviously hasn't been confirmed. The Oort cloud is kind of difficult to inspect at this distance, but they were tentatively calling it Tyche.
Okay.
After the sister of Nemesis. Like how they used to think they used to think there might be a red dwarf star orbiting the sun at an extreme distance.
Yeah.
Which they would blame for periodic extinction events, asteroids being tossed in towards the system.
Yeah. No, I mean I'd blame them too.
But back to Battlezone for a moment. The Furies.
Yes, of course.
So this ancient advanced alien race, the Chthonians.
Cool name.
Yeah, fabricated this incredible bioorganic metallic compound that possesses shape memory.
All right.
Which is meant to explain why American and Soviet scientists could recreate Chthonian-styled vehicles, because essentially the schematics for such technologies was in the material itself, in its composition.
Oh, right, like that memory metal that like you heat it up and it takes the same shape every time.
Yeah. So, you know, that's why we have space-going hover tanks in the 1960s.
Hey, whatever it takes.
The Chthonians were at their height in the time of the ancient Greeks. And there was a civil war between two major factions, the Olympian Council and the Hadean Crown. They were engaged in a superweapon one-up war, which the Hadean Crown eventually ended. Their leader, Nexus V, sent an automated vessel called Charon to harvest genetic material from the battlefields of the ancient Greeks.
Charon, like it.
And he essentially infused this genetic material directly into the biometal hulls of his war machines to create his final solution, his ultimate weapon, the Furies.
Right.
Who were so terrifyingly effective that they, in fighting the Olympian Council, that of course they then turned on Nexus V. And the Olympians were forced to employ a doomsday device to destroy the Furies, and their entire planet, and all of them, and the Hadeans in the bargain. Thus, all at once, the Gotterdammerung of their race, but spared ancient Earth and humanity from the Furies' eventual wrath.
Huh.
The Furies are meant to be... There is an aggression factor built into...
Yeah.
Quote. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
They are...
Like Daleks.
They are portrayed as unflinchingly sadistic.
Yeah. Oh, sadistic.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, they will... To the point where they will abandon this is actually kind of programmed into their AI. If a Fury sees you in the game, they will abandon whatever they are doing to relentlessly chase you down.
Jesus.
A bit like the alien saucers in the original arcade game. This is the brilliance of this. But you're meant to exploit this, to bait the Furies into ambushes.
Oh, that makes sense.
They are very powerful. A single Fury is a match for a number of US or Soviet tanks.
Right.
You have to use large numbers of units, and you have to be smarter than them. Given the limitations of the engine, and that the storytelling is limited to voice acting in the missions and snippets of text in between them, it's difficult to comprehend what the Furies really are. It's just
like I like that. I like unknown enemies.
Yeah,
we just know that it's a problem.
They're biomechanical machines imbued with the DNA of dead Greek warriors, and possessed of unflinching rage and sadism. And
sufficiently terrifying.
Yeah, so of course the Soviets recreate them, because of course they do. And they promptly rip through the ranks of both armies, who are then forced to band together in an attempt to stop them.
Yeah.
And that makes up the last third or so of the campaign.
I always have a soft spot for characters like that. Like, these things are trained killing machines that hate everybody. I'm gonna be on their side. It's like, you may have missed some of the very important text here.
Yeah, notably
like, anytime someone tries to befriend the Decepticons or befriend the Daleks or whatever, it's like, how do you think this is gonna go?
Yeah, that goes about as well as those scenarios.
Yeah, the fucking Wayland Yutani, they only have, like, one mission plan now. Wayland Yutani are just fucking Team Rocket. They have all this money and influence, and they're just like, oh, but, let's get a xenomorph and make it into a weapon. It's like, it is a weapon. It's a weapon that hates you.
That's actually a plot point in the newer Aliens Fireteam Elite game. It's kind of like the Aliens Left 4 Dead. One of the backstory elements they tell you about is that the United Americas have since passed a Colonial Protection Act, which basically means that the Colonial Marines can say fuck you to anything that the corporations tell them and do what they have to do to protect the colonies.
They unionized. Good on them.
In a way. But basically, Colonial Marines Command is now authorized to countermand any directives they might receive from Wayland Yutani.
Unionized or privatized, either way, in this situation, it was a good thing.
So, the events of the movies are basically, if not common knowledge, then the xenomorphs are a known and recognized threat, and measures have been taken to empower the Colonial Marines against them.
past a certain point, it gets so hard to take seriously that it would keep happening that you would need to address it in universe.
So they
I'm
did.
very glad that they did.
Yeah, they
Yes.
passed legislature so that the Hadley's Hope scenario does not happen again.
I haven't watched Pokemon in a very, very long time, but it always struck me as weird, even at the time, that the lead of Team Rocket wants a relatively powerful Pikachu. Looking at the Pikachu seems strong, he's like, okay, I want that particular Pikachu, whereas what he's absolutely rejecting and ignoring is the one case of a Pokemon that can talk. Effectively bridging the gap between Pokemon and human communications. Which I would have thought would be revolutionary, but they don't seem to know or care about that.
Oh, like they don't make anything of the one Meowth that speaks English.
They don't make anything of the one Meowth that speaks. It's regarded as strange, and no one seems to think that it has any value. Which to me, it seems like it'd be the most... Like, can you imagine if there was, like, literally one cat in the world that could speak fluent English?
And nobody cared.
And still understand what cats were saying and what other animals were saying. Like a universal animal translator that could talk to humans as well.
Yeah.
But then be like going, oh, but man, that rat runs really fast. I want that rat. It's like,
Yeah, Pokemon is not have the most believable internal logic.
No, I suppose not. It raises the question of what they're eating sometimes.
Yeah.
The rather uncomfortable Zootopia question.
Ooh, yes. I have not actually seen that movie, but I know there was a lot of discussion about it.
There's something they explain a lot better in Beastars, but Beastars is its own sort of fucked up. Still entertaining, but...
Looks like at least the body has been here at least 4 months.
4 months, eh? Alright.
I think they're specifically referring to the one that is still decaying.
Yeah, it's pretty meaty. But no, I think the in-universe explanation for this that I can figure is that essentially, while it would be prudent to dispose of the bodies more effectively, Snatchers have a certain Dalek-like arrogance. To them, they would no more think of disposing of a body as like a particularly jerky person would think of putting away their garbage properly.
That's
To them, this is basically just littering.
Max raises
Yeah.
a fair point. We were just talking about Pokemon. Nobody asks about the Pokemon World Wars.
They don't. They don't.
They covered that in the Transformers films.
They do.
Yeah, like Bumblebee fought with the U.S. in World War II.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I want more Transformer films like Bumblebee.
I haven't
can't
actually
just
seen
jump-
it.
It's one of these things where, in my particular case, because like my area of focus is so much the 1986 film and the first 2 or 3 seasons of the original cartoon run, there was a bunch of stuff in that film that I was just, I'll be honest, I was marking out over. I was playing right into their hands, but the humans in it are good. Like they're not. It doesn't focus on the humans too much, and the humans it does focus on aren't incredibly irritating. So, I mean, I have a lot of time for the Bumblebee film. It's also got a wicked 1980s soundtrack, which I approve of.
Oh, they messed with the teeth.
Yes. Because the thing, it's a dental record sort of thing.
Yeah.
In the original version, the point that's raised is like, oh, Snatchers remove the teeth of their victims, so they can't do dental records, and so they added that extra bit of dialogue where it's like, oh, but the teeth are there, but they've been knocked
Now
crooked.
performing simulated reconstruction of the head and facial features of each of the 4 victims. Commencing with victim number 1.
The old versions,
Craniometric
the
analysis.
corpse
X-ray,
actually has no
X-ray,
teeth.
magnetic
Like it's had its
resonance
teeth
imaging,
pulled
and
out.
positron CT data gathered.
That doesn't look right to most audiences. It looks a little bit weird and goofy.
Now commencing reconstruction.
Ecom Bolcom.
Victim's age. Estimate based on 1. Presence
Goddamn.
or absence of cranial fontanelles and chroma of epicranial sutures. 2. Area of facial region and cranium.
I mean, I'm
3.
not wrong.
Height of upper and lower jaw and development of alveolar part. And 4. Location of cranial center of gravity. Next, victim
Oh
sex.
god, Max said the same
Estimate
thing.
based
Good for
on 1.
Max.
Overall size of cranium. 2. parietal bone angle, and 3, development of splachocranium. Lastly, victim's race. Estimate based on 1, overall cranial configuration, 2, volume of intracranial cavity,
We're
and
getting
3,
some phrenology now.
Now commencing soft feature reconstruction based
Great.
on average results of above
Yeah.
analysis.
There is some of that with skulls and
Oh,
whatnot.
this one must be
Initial phase
Freddy.
completed. Margin of error on estimate of victim's race, 10% based on use of average values. Now adding postulated hair and eye features.
Yep.
Reconstruction of head of first victim completed.
It's Freddie Nielsen.
Moving on to second victim. Now commencing reconstruction of features of victim number 2. Now starting
Oh, this is going to be where they reveal who the
Complete
Snatcher at
cranial
Junker
data
headquarters
now being
is, isn't it?
compiled using the same
Correct.
techniques as the previous reconstruction.
They do what they
Cranial
can.
analysis complete.
Yeah, they got the matches, they got the picture, they got the, like, only one person can really fuck with your turbo cycle.
Reconstructing. Initial phase completed. Margin of error.
Presume
on
this one is
estimate
Lisa
of victim's
Nielsen.
race, 10% based on use of average values.
Either that or
Now adding postulated hair and eye features.
Shinshuo is oddly pretty. No, it is
Second
Lisa.
victim completed.
That's Lisa Nielsen.
Moving on to third victim. Now commencing reconstruction of features of victim number 3. Now starting craniometric analysis. Complete cranial data now being compiled using the same techniques as the previous reconstruction. Craniometric analysis complete. Now commencing reconstruction.
It's a
using the
pretty
same
cool
techniques
feature.
as the
It's
previous
something that I
reconstruction.
probably will eventually have in my own Snatcher game.
Reconstructing. Initial phase completed.
This must be
You'll be
Chinshu.
caught.
Margin of
for
error
it.
on estimate of victim's race, 10% based on use of average values. Now adding postulated hair and eye features. Reconstruction of head of third victim completed.
Who in the world is that?
That's the director of Queen's Hospital. Shin Fui, what's his face?
Chinshu-O, Gillian. Moving on to last
Oh,
victim.
Chinshu-O.
Now
Not
commencing
Chinshu-O.
reconstruction
Yeah,
of
I
features
even I
of
got it
victim
wrong.
number 4.
Oh, look,
This
it
one's
varies from
most
version to
recent.
version.
It's still decomposing.
Now starting craniometric analysis. Complete cranial data now being compiled using the same techniques as the previous reconstruction. Craniometric analysis complete. Now commencing reconstruction using the same techniques as the previous reconstruction.
This is a good way to reveal this.
Reconstructing.
Oh, yes.
Initial phase completed. Margin of error on estimate of victim's race, 10% based on use of average values. Now
Unfortunately, I
adding
know who it's
postulated
going to
hair
be,
and eye
but-
features.
Yeah, that's fine.
Reconstruction of
Yeah.
final victim completed.
It's the chief.
What?
The chief is a snatcher. The Benson on the scrap of that patient record was Benson Cunningham.
Judging from the condition of the body, I would estimate that the snatching took place approximately 1 month ago.
So it was the
Month
chief
ago.
who sabotaged our turbo cycle.
Yeah.
And those matches we found in Harry's room, the chief must have put them there to try to set him up.
No doubt Harry figured it out and decided to leave that face-to-face message. Wait a minute. Didn't Mika say
I wish that Harry had
left
just
to go
called
find the
you.
chief?
That's right. He was probably trying to track down some evidence on the chief.
Gillian, I'd say that this Harry has put himself in a pretty dangerous spot.
If it was the chief that sabotaged the turbo cycle, doesn't that mean that he already knows we're onto him?
Damn! Harry and Mika are in danger.
That's far enough, Junker. Your little investigation is over.
Oh, that must be Chin.
It's them!
Who? Snatchers?
Get them!
Oh, son of a bitch.
Ouch. I think old Laser Breath may have a point.
My arm! I can't reach my blaster!
I'm hit in the leg.
Is that the best you can do, Junker?
Who's there?
Jin Shuo, you scum!
It seems you still have some fight left in you. You two are finished, but our plans move forward. We are now entering phase 2. And when we do, not only this city, but the entire world will be ours to command.
Phase 2? What are you talking about?
As you know, our operations have been hindered up to now by the flaws in our artificial skin. The skin's shortcomings have kept us away from ultraviolet rays, forcing us to do our work at night,
Mild shock.
underground, or in the
Yes.
winter. In the end, we had to construct a hospital like this, all because of the flaws in our artificial skin. This was the only difference between us and you humans. But now we have broken this barrier.
Huh?
We are on the verge of developing a perfect artificial skin, thanks to the cooperation of a new partner in our plan.
Perfect artificial skin? A new partner?
Once we have the new skin, nothing will be able to stop us. And with that, our plan moves to phase 2. Our little experiment in this city will end, and we'll move in force to take over the world.
Don't be so sure. You won't get out of the city that easy.
You humans are always so overconfident, so naive.
What are you talking about?
I'm sure you're aware that the Kyoto Summit, being held to decide how to handle the Snatcher problem, opens tomorrow.
Metal, is that right?
Yes, countries around the world are concerned about the Snatcher problem. It will be one of the main topics discussed at this year's summit.
That's right. Tomorrow, we attack the summit.
You must be crazy. The security there will be incredible. You won't even get close.
Must I explain everything to you, Junker?
Yes, please
Aren't
do.
you even aware that a fellow Junker will be giving a special presentation at the summit?
The chief, Cunningham. So that's why you snatched him.
We've known that your chief would be speaking at the summit for over 3 months now.
Gillian, the summit is tomorrow. We have to hurry.
Listen, we have your chief. You Junkers are at our mercy, and so is this city. And tomorrow, we move on the world. Nothing can stop us now. We will finally achieve our long-awaited goal of global domination.
I don't know if there's a big explanation
this
speech
we
in the
you keep
first
talking
Metal
about?
Gear, but I'd almost guarantee that
We?
there is.
We are an evolved life form, given life in the depths of the Kremlin by our creator, Modnar. We are a new race.
Modnar?
Modnar? The Kremlin? Those names are familiar, but
Our goal is to snatch all of the world's leaders and then achieve total control of human thought and worldwide racial unification.
you're insane. Humanity won't be so easily dominated. You underestimate the strength of the human spirit.
I think not. In the same way as the Nazis, our strategy begins with the overpowering of the spirit of the people. We will strike at you humans' weakest point, the most primitive part of your psychological makeup, your suspiciousness and fear. By provoking suspicion and mistrust throughout the populace, we will destroy that fragile fabric which holds your society together, that of trust. Fear is you humans' weak point. It is the primitive part of your brains that binds you forever to your animal ancestors and makes you vulnerable. By stimulating that part of your atavistic instincts, our plan can succeed magnificently.
Gillian, at this rate they'll kill us all. You've got to get out alive. You're a junker.
Just what have you have in mind?
I've got a big fireworks show ready for him. Better that than get snatched.
What? You're gonna blow yourself up? No, we're better off fighting together.
Hey, it won't work. I'm hit in the thigh. Ow, oh, damn. A bounty hunter can't do anything with a leg wound like this. I might as well have been shot in the head.
There must be some way out of here.
Hey, I wasn't doing this job just for fun. I stayed ready for situations like this. I've always been prepared to go out with a bang.
It's December. A little late for fireworks.
So it'll be an off-season show.
No, I can't let you.
My belt's packed with TNT-PX. You know, that really strong stuff they use in the mines on Mars? One push, and this whole hospital will go. No trouble at all. No time to sit around thinking, Junker boy. Go! What are you doing? Get your butt moving, you fool! Get out through this air shaft. I've got a powerful strobe on me. Its flash will screw up their sensors long enough for you to get out. Now, you with me? Fireworks are better from a distance anyway, Gillian.
Are you two finished chatting? Then I think it's time for you to die. We're quite busy, you know.
You ready? When I give the signal, break into the air shaft and run, and don't forget your blaster.
Metal, stay with me.
Yes, sir.
Random.
Gillian! Doesn't look like I'm gonna have a chance to call in that debt you owe me.
Don't worry. I'll pay it back to the Snatchers with interest.
All right, go! Run, Gillian!
Oh, shit.
Random was really determined to blow himself up.
Yeah.
Metal, are you okay?
Oh,
Metal,
that doesn't sound
something
so good.
broken?
Language circuits have been damaged somewhat.
What happened?
Random blew himself up after getting us into this air shaft.
Random.
Gillian, that explosion should have taken all of Queen's Hospital with it.
The thick walls of this duct must have shielded us from enough of the blast. If it wasn't for Random, we wouldn't have made it. Oh, Random.
Gillian, we have no time for grief now. We must get back to Junker headquarters as quickly as possible. Harry and Mika are in danger.
You're right. And I have to keep my promise to Random. But first, we have to figure out how to get out of here.
I can't see a thing. What should we do?
Turn your light on.
Yeah. I'm the furthest thing from a physicist. An
But
explosion.
wouldn't the explosion have been forced straight down the duct?
Right.
That's what you were going to
Like,
tell
as
me,
we
right?
saw the entrance to the duct and it had a vent. So, I mean, if it was like a solid wall and it was a really heck of a... It was like, if it was a really serious door to the vent that Gillian had managed to get closed, I could almost get that. Although, the way physics works, Gillian would still have, like, pulped internal organs and be very deaf. If the explosion was big enough to level an entire 3-story hospital with a basement... But yeah.
Was it a downward duct that we fell down some distance from? Because it looks like it was just a
Could be.
horizontal duct from this shot.
I think it was just a horizontal one. Look, I'm not about to question the... I mean, I just did, but the physics model of someone having enough explosives on something that is contained within a belt to level an entire building. We're in shaky territory, I think. And the other duct was on the back wall, so... And as someone has pointed out, that explosion seemed to have healing properties and has fixed his arm and the wound he had on his head. Arguably, that could be the nanomachines that Metal Gear gives you. But, I mean, if Metal Gear is handing out nanomachines, then maybe they should have handed some out to Random for the scratch on his leg that he got. The career-ending scratch.
Just maybe.
I mean, if it was his inner thigh, then sure, but I don't know. I think I would imagine that Kojima had like a much bigger vision for Random's injury. And like if I was to redraw the scene, I would make it like a big chunk. I think redrawing scenes from Snatcher could be fun.
Yeah, people like panel redraws.
I kind of like this shot because it's like a relatively clear picture of Gillian, and it's one where we get a decent sense of scale of how big Metal Gear is compared to Gillian, which doesn't happen that often. I was thinking back over Western mech design, and I thought I'd come across something, but I was wrong on so many fronts, because I was thinking of Enforcement Droid 209. But first of all, that's not a mech, it's just a robot, and second of all, it's taken from Japan anyways. So, like, when I think about Western robot or mech design, I'm having to go, like, way back to, like, these Czechoslovakian ink drawings where they sort of looked a bit like somewhere between a scarecrow and a suit of knight's armor.
That's interesting.
That's Western mecha, as far as I can tell.
I'd be hard pressed to tell you which Western mech series were not influenced by Japan.
Yeah, honestly.
Because it's obviously there in BattleTech, and therefore it's probably there in MetalTech, and...
They were really into it before a lot of other people.
Yes. I think that's why we got the Unseen.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to think of, like, what's the earliest example? I know it's not a mech in the traditional sense, because it's controlled externally, and it's sort of a robot. My first thoughts is Tetsujin 28. Which I guess would be Gigantor in the West.
Gigantor, okay. I recognize the name. Shattered Steel is another one. Long before they made Mass Effect or anything like that, BioWare made a mech sim in the 90s. It was a one-off.
Oh, right.
Did not become a franchise like MechWarrior or Earthsiege. But and Heavy Gear. Heavy Gear is obviously very Japanese influenced. Yeah. You can tell by looking at it.
Yeah. I get this feeling that both of us have got like some sort of blind spot that someone is like shrieking at us as they listen to this video. But I mean, I don't know it. I don't see it.
I mean, you yourself mentioned Robot Jocks.
Yeah, but Robot Jocks, like, to me, that looks like it's got that's got Japanese influence again. They look sort of Gundam-ish. To say, if someone wants to say that they invented the mechs and Robot Jocks in a vacuum with no inspiration from Japan, I'd be tempted to call them a lie, or at least press the X button for doubt.
Maybe Robot Wars, the other movie of that vintage.
Sure.
The two mechs in that, well, one is a Scorpion mech, and the other one is a humanoid mech with a distinctly sort of number 5 look.
Yeah. I can see that.
Like looks like, it looks like somebody refitted Rob the Robot for combat work.
Oh, yeah. And it's a mecha, like someone pilots it.
Yes, it is a mech.
Oh. There you go.
That's one movie.
Yeah. Because, I mean, in the case of number 5, number 5 being a robot anyways, but number 5 is one that, as far as I can tell, is more based on, like, real-world robots.
Yeah. That was closer to the look they were going for in Robot Wars, I think.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I don't actually know, is Rob made in Japan, or was that an American invention?
I'm pretty sure Rob was Japanese.
Yeah.
So maybe Robot Wars doesn't even count then. I don't know. The bad guy's got a point. Modern mecha might be the tripods from War of the Worlds. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, those fall into a different category for me, which I realize I'm splitting hairs badly, but, like, once it's an alien mecha, which I guess technically in a lot of anime they are aliens, even if they look human, that falls into a slightly different category for me, but no, I would agree, yeah.
I mean, that was the whole thing in Macross, right? like an alien
Yeah.
ship crash landed here, and we refurbished it, and that's how we got giant
Yeah,
robots.
yes. I was actually watching. It was cheap, so we bought it without looking at it too closely. Me and Scum bought a like the first 2 seasons of Robotech, not realizing it was English language only. Which was it's fine. Like,
Did you know that
there's-
it was not precisely the same show as Macross?
No, it's quite a different show.
Yeah. Whoops. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank
and
you.
it's had a few
Thank you
things
very
that
much,
threw me a
Carl
curveball.
Masick.
Yes. The main character is called Rick Hunter, so I keep expecting him
Hunter.
to sound like the postal dude, and he doesn't.
That's really funny.
Yes.
I have not seen much of Robotech or Macross.
I grew up on a fair bit of Robotech because it was one of those ones that came across to the West pretty early. And there was like a lot of toys of it.
Ooh.
A lot. Oh, sneezing.
Jillian sneezed. Da-da-da.
But the opening theme to Robotech is pretty heroic. The thing that threw me a curveball is there's all these voices in it that sounded really familiar, and I was like, man, I feel like I know this voice. And then you check their IMDb credits, and even though they've got this very professional sounding voice, their only work is on Robotech. It's like, why just Robotech? This sounds like Neil Ross or whatever, but I'm not saying it is, but it's like that sort of quality of voice acting, but they've literally only done Robotech. And then I saw a name in the credits that I recognize, because one of the people who worked on Robotech was Jimmy Flinders. Jimmy Flinders is a name you might recognize from the cast list of Metal Gear Solid, because it's Cam Clark's alias when he's doing non-union work.
Oh.
So I'm wondering, like Cam Clark, you know, he's
Cam
out
Clark
about
was
it now.
in
We know that
Robotech?
Jimmy Flinders is Cam Clark, but I'm wondering how many of the voice actors in Robotech are actual people just having to evade contract.
Huh.
It's like how Eva in Metal Gear Solid 3 sounds really professional, but it's someone called Suzette Minette the Third or something like that, and she's done nothing else. It's like, uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
For legal reasons, they've had to do that. So it made me wonder. Cam Clark's got a touring show now, and he's described himself as a recovering Mormon.
Huh. I was looking for... I did a quick search for Western mecha, and it's not actually doesn't actually help our discussion. But I turned up some new game that's coming called Bounty Star. It's apparently a mixture of mechs and Wild West themes.
Well, I hope it's anything like Outlaw Star then.
Bounty Star, the morose tale of Graveyard Clem. Over-the-shoulder mech action game. Has some farming and base building elements as well.
Well, sure, why not?
You take the role of war veteran Clem, and you fight in the Red Expanse, a post-apocalyptic version of the American Southwest.
I'll try to get on board. When it comes to games like that, I like to make my own character, even if they act a certain way.
And he has his mech is called the Desert Raptor Mark II.
Not bad.
Customizable, of course.
Yes.
Looks to be of the zipping around Armored Core variety.
Okay. Well, I mean, I liked Armored Core a lot. That was like the last FromSoft game I played.
Clem is a bounty hunter who pursues various targets and takes down marks for government cash, which means mech fights. The action looks like Armored Core by way of cowboys and high noon shootouts.
Alright.
Then when you return home, there's more to be done. Clem's rundown garage serves as a base of operations, but also homestead. Over time, you build up water and power supply, grow food and cook, raise animals, and produce ammo and fuel you need for combat. It's like Stardew Valley if you were also running a mech bounty hunting business on the side.
I mean, I'm pretty down with this concept.
Yeah.
I can probably get Scum into it.
Interesting. Aiming for a 2023 launch on Xbox Series XS, PS4, PS5, and PC via Steam. I'm into it.
It's one of those things where you can be friends with someone or know someone for a long time and still learn things. I had no idea how much Scum loved the Wild West aesthetic.
Oh?
Yeah, I mean, I knew she kind of liked that. I just didn't realize how much. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I just did. Never really thought about it.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Wild West stuff. There is a Steam page for it.
So, I mean, a Wild West mecha farming game. That's should probably put that on our radar.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and drop that in the Discord in case anybody listening is interested. It has a Steam page.
Something I will drop in the Discord at some point. Sorry, just while we're investigating and whatnot. You may have noticed that a lot of the talking character portraits seem to form like various different poses. Like there's one where like Random's leaning back. There's one where Gillian's looking over his shoulder. There's one where Katrina's sort of flicking her hair.
Yeah.
The character portraits are taken from existing very nice watercolor concept art.
Ooh.
And so there's actually like a full drawing. Like the shot of Random like leaning back, he's sort of like doing one of the classic Akira poses, where he's on his motorcycle but with like his heels dug into the ground and his arms folded and leaning back. And that's why in his talking character portrait he's sort of look at this like leaning back look to him. Because in the full picture he's on his motorcycle. And there's like a shot of Gillian that's like crouching down, looking over his shoulder, looking concerned, and that's where we get the shot of him looking over his shoulder. It's like they're existing like full pictures that they just converted into the talking character sprites.
Whoa.
And I'll post all of those. They're quite cool.
That is cool. But also, Rex says there's an 1868 novel called The Steam Man of the Prairies that had a steam-powered, back-piloted mechanical man.
Holy shit. Worth looking into.
There's some Western mechs for you.
Yeah.
Edward S. Ellis.
Way back.
Oh, and there's a manga.
All
There's
right.
a manga from the 40s that had a mechanical octopus. He says. Oh, he says that Mr. Bad Guy says the funniest thing about Robotech is that they couldn't use the actual robot because Hasbro licensed it for Transformers.
They did. They produced some of the smaller, less famous ones, but not the main one. They were pissed about that. They used that one for Skyfire, or Jetfire, as known.
I forget if either MBG or Rex were here when I was going into the whole thing, because you asked in the first episode, you asked me about the unseen in Battletech.
Yes.
And how largely for the reason for that was the legal mire with Harmony Gold specifically.
Yes.
MBG commented how on the hilarity of Harmony Gold continuing to pretend that Robotech is relevant.
Well, yeah, they've been making stuff in the 2000s, I'm pretty sure.
See, that one makes sense to me, Mr. Bad Guy. Just using Amano's artwork as portraits in the Final Fantasy remakes.
Oh god, yeah. Some of the original Snatcher artwork is really nice. Sorry, while we're talking about artwork, I feel the need to address something.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. No, it's it's a minor thing, and like it's honestly not quite as bad as I remember it. Either I've been watching too much Shadow Warrior lately, but in one of my earliest streams, like I talked about Rumiko Takahashi's eventual sort of like descent in how Shampoo's character went from being slightly tricky and having a warrior's code to being, pretty much out and out villainous because people like Shampoo too much. I want to say, considering it's around the same time, I want to commend Rumiko Takahashi for her sensitive and nuanced portrayal of the Chinese people compared to Snatcher. Because, I mean, at least in Ranma, like, the two Chinese people are, relatively skilled and attractive.
Instead of
nasally... And don't really look like...
Nasally...
They don't look like Fu Manchu racial stereotypes.
Yeah, nasally mustachioed,
yes,
like, one-note villains. Well, one of them's a villain, the other one's a shady underworld character, but
The other ones are, and in all fairness, in the case of Napoleon is literally, and he's basically traced off a Japanese man's drawing of a Japanese man. So
of a Chinese man, you mean?
no, of a Japanese man.
Oh, of a
like
Japanese
that's the thing.
man. Okay.
The he's traced off a character from Akira, which I can only assume to be from the Akira comics, because I don't think the film was out when Snatcher was first being made. I could be wrong. I could have sworn Akira came out in '89, but that might just have been in the Western world.
The timing must have been pretty
but
close.
like Hideo Kojima would have been reading the Akira comics. I'm pretty sure.
Sure.
Yeah, and there's a character in the Akira comics called Nezu, and Nezu just looks like Napoleon, but Nezu is just meant to be Japanese.
I remember Nezu.
Yeah, he's drawn by Katsuhiro Otomo, so it's just a Japanese man drawing a Japanese man. So there's only so bad it can be. It's it's the choice to make them Chinese and everyone else whatever. But like Chin Shu-ho, not
Can't really
not ideal.
Can't really excuse that one.
Can't really excuse that one, no.
Okay, so there's not enough Snow 9 for it to be a serious problem. But there's more of it up ahead.
If I get what Rex is saying, then the Akira movie came out in '88, which suddenly makes a bunch of sense. I mean, a lot of the aesthetics of this game is Blade Runner, but those that aren't are probably Akira. And certainly, I mean, I think I said in a previous episode, the character design, it's less clear once they've been digitized. But, like, you can tell it was basically they wanted the characters to look a bit like they were drawn by Katsuhiro Otomo.
Okay, this is not just an air duct.
Oh.
There's aftermarket steel reinforcements in the walls.
Okay. Well, in all fairness, if Gillian did it right and he hunched down like he seemed to be and pulled his collar up, his Junker's coat will protect him against most things. Like, it's no good against the Snatcher's laser weapon, but against a regular explosive, it would at least protect him from the heat.
It might direct some of the force of the explosion around him.
Yeah. The Junker's coat is a pretty impressive piece of technology.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Junker's tie does.
It's a bit like the coat in Axiom Verge, actually.
Oh, Axiom Verge. Why do I know that?
So Axiom Verge is a newer Metroidvania by a guy named Tom Happ, who I believe formerly an EA dev, but don't quote me on that part. It's about a scientist named Trace who, after an accident at his laboratory, awakens in a strange and vaguely Geigerian world, full of full of ancient machines and twisted creatures.
Yep.
And he's got
very cool.
He doesn't have it right away because he starts with just the lab coat that he was wearing at the time of the accident.
Yes.
But he eventually acquires a different red coat that is unassuming from the outside, but the interior is lined with complex circuitry of unclear purpose.
Yes.
Which functionally lets him glitch through 1 block wide walls. Because the whole thing with Axiom Verge is defying the movement conventions of Metroidvanias. And the plot conventions, I might add.
Yes. I remember I saw the dub of Akira before I saw the subtitled version. Both are good. Honestly, like the Western dub from the Pioneer back in the day, it gets a hard time now, because they like tone down the language in some places and whatnot. But I think it's really important and kind of iconic to Western anime, honestly.
Now we are advancing.
Oh, good.
In sectors.
In sectors.